Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin', Fantasy Champs? Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend watching football. I would assume that a majority of games are not over yet, and they're currently in progress, considering the Tuesday games that are supposedly going to happen today.
Yep.
Welcome to Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. What's poppin', Rick?
What's up? What's up?
I am I'm mid watching this Browns-Raiders game because we're recording this on Monday. So if something happens mid-show and I lose my drawers, forgive me. Freaking Derek Carr almost threw a pick. So get out of here, guy.
You mean, it's not even Baker. It's Nick Mullins.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I thought it was Raiders on offense. Anyway, so... today we have waiver wire ads for week 16. We're getting closer and closer, inching. Usually this time of year is Fantasy Champions Fantasy Championship week. But because of the extension here, all championships, I hope, are in week 17 because we have an extra week. It amazes me that we have 3 games left.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with that?
That's really sad, actually, that there's only 3 games left.
Why did they take Nick Chubb off the field?
Because it's a 2-minute drill, bro. He's not the 2-minute drill running back. They're putting the passing down players out there.
Whatever.
This is going to be hard watching the game and recording a podcast.
I can't. I just want Nick Chubb.
There's a lot of football this week, huh?
Yeah,
I know we're pre-recording this, but 2 games Monday, 2 games Monday, 2 games Tuesday, a game Thursday, 2 games on Saturday, I believe.
There's a game on Friday too, I think.
No, I think it's Saturday because it's Christmas Day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
Do you want to get this thing going now?
Yeah, sorry. I'm yawning and entrenched in this football game. Anyway, so we have waiver wire pickups for week 16. We're going to help you as you advance to the semifinals. Is that what you want to call it? Semifinals?
Yeah.
For a chance to advance to the championship game, we got some interesting ads, some QB streams that might interest you, and so we'll jump in. Before we do that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platforms. If you're on there, please leave a review. Share this podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, click the bell for notifications, subscribe, like, and comment down below any questions you may or may not have that pertain to this wonderful week of fantasy football. Without further ado, do you want to jump in?
Yep, you did.
Now that he's pushing me, he's like, you need to get this started because you're watching. I'm telling you right now, this is in about 35 seconds. It'll be halftime.
Yeah, and then we can.
You guys all know what happened, so this is just like you going, this guy's a moron. Nick Chubb got 3 points, and he's rooting for nothing. But for the next 2 shows...
Or Nick Chubb got 25.
You're going to sit here and listen to me complain about everything that's happening. Anyway. Well, hey, yeah, Nick Chubb, 25. I'd take that.
I wouldn't. I'm rooting against Chubb and Josh Jacobs.
To be fair, before we jump in, I did outscore my opponent already in the flex. In the flex spots.
So you just need the running backs.
They only have 8 right now, so
combined. Oh my gosh!
Anyway, as I'm assuming that there's another player in the flex, but anyway, so let's move into waiver wires. Let's talk about the quarterbacks first, Rick. Tua had a blow week, very not great. For fantasy, what do you have? 17 in fantasy?
In our league. In normal leagues, he had, or 4-point touchdown leagues, he had 15.
So, I just, at this point with Tua, as much as I'm not excited, that's the wrong word to use. As much as I'm in the regular season, I would be like, okay, good matchup, start Tua, he had a bad game. In the fantasy playoffs, this becomes really, really difficult. And the reason why is because everything's on the line. And you don't want to throw Tua out there in a game where, like, we talked about how he can give you a mediocre performance of like 20 points and you'll be happy with it. I did that a couple weeks ago in week 11 when I had a bye week on my quarterback, and I snagged Tua and started him. Week 11 against the Jets, and he had 20 or 19 or whatever.
Yeah,
4-point leagues. So I got to switch that back, either forward or backward, 6-point or 4-point, so that I don't have to be confused on the podcast anymore. But anyway. So picking up Tua at this point in the year, like, it's a good matchup against New Orleans, and it could actually lead to, a 20-point performance.
Is New Orleans a good matchup?
I see. That's what my question is. Like, they've started to play a little bit better, but I mean, they literally kind of shut out.
They did shut out the Bucs. Brady had 5 points against the Saints.
But yeah, dude. No thanks. Go New Orleans next week. Oh my God, Miami's trying to fight for a playoff spot over here. They have New Orleans, Tennessee, and New England left. Ugh.
Yeah, I think their little streak is going to come to an end.
Yeah, it was cute. Well,
they might get New Orleans, but I don't think they're beating Tennessee or New England.
But anyway, would you stream Tua this week?
No, probably not. I'm not that confident in it. I will give him the benefit of the doubt this past week. He was without Jalen Waddle, who has become, in his rookie season, the number one receiver on the Dolphins. So that definitely did hurt, because when he was throwing to anyone other than Devontae Parker, and even sometimes Devontae Parker, it just didn't look good. Mm-hmm. The problem is Tua as a real life quarterback has kind of grossed me out all season, but especially this past week against the Jets. Mm-hmm. And it kind of made me not dislike him, but I was like, at this point in your career, you should start to figure it out a little bit. Doesn't seem like he's made really any progression from year 1 to year 2. And against the Saints, I know that overall in the season, they've been pretty good against, or quarterbacks have been pretty good against the Saints. Mm-hmm. But lately, they've been really picked it up defensively. This past week against the Bucs, as we were saying, like, they shut them down. It was great defensively. The game's in New Orleans with Sean Payton. I don't know. I don't really trust Tua in that game, especially in a semifinal game, to be honest. But you might not have a ton of options if you're streaming quarterbacks still and you're at this point.
Yeah, there's really not. Another guy that has a decent matchup this week is Jimmy Garoppolo, but this is another player that literally has not had a 20-point performance for like.
Well, he had 20 against Cincy.
That's fair.
But before that.
But since week 10, it's 17-17, third, and this is wrong because of the format,
I got you.
But.
So since week 10. Yeah, so he had 2 good games in week 8 and week 9, but then week 10 he had 15 against Jacksonville. In week 11 should be a good matchup. He had 15. Week 12 against Minnesota, a good matchup. He had 12. Against the Seahawks, another good matchup. He only had 17.
Yeah.
Against the Bengals, which is a good matchup, but harder than the last couple, he somehow got 20.
Yeah.
And then against the Falcons this week should be a good matchup. He only played really good in real life, but he only had 23 pass attempts and only had 13 fantasy points.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
So against the Titans, it's a good matchup, but it's kind of gross because Garoppolo most of the time scores under 20 fantasy points. If you had to choose one, though, would you start Garoppolo or Tua?
Probably Tua.
It's so gross. I think I might go Garoppolo, though. It's so gross. Not saying that he's... They're both like middle end guys. I think Tennessee's pass defense is just not that great. Mm-hmm. And I'm it's more about I'm scared of the Saints more than the Titans on defense, but
yeah,
it's a toss up between both those guys. Like either way, you're not feeling great about it.
No, and I'm like you said, there's really nothing out there right now. I mean, Matt Ryan against Detroit, he hasn't.
So that's the one I was going to say because it seems like a decent matchup, but Detroit also just played really well against the Cardinals, and I don't know if that's just because it was a bad week for the Cardinals, or the Lions defense actually played well.
There has been some interesting games for Big Ben against easy matchups, but I don't like that either. We talked about Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill versus San Fran. San Fran's been playing better defensively, and he has not put up any good fantasy point totals. Like, he's been trash. So I don't trust him, especially on a Thursday night game. And then
if AJ Brown is back, though, that could help.
But Julio might be out, so it's literally going to be the same thing opposite.
True.
I don't know. Justin Fields did have 22 fantasy points against, and this could be wrong. It's probably 20 fantasy points against Green Bay.
He had 20 points against the Packers. He plays on Tuesday night, so we don't know at the time of this recording.
Oh, that's right. He hasn't played yet. He does play Seattle, which is not an easy matchup for quarterbacks. As of right now, the numbers might be a little bit wonky. I noticed that they adjusted all the numbers on Fantasy Pros to yesterday's performances, and teams who have not played yet now are like really tough. They're like reds.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, Seattle was never a red. What happened? So Fields against Seattle could be a good matchup.
To be honest, it kind of depends on what happens Tuesday night, but I think I would choose Fields of all the guys we talked about to stream.
Yeah, it really does depend on Tuesday night. Watch Tuesday's game. If he has 20 or more, I'd stream him this week and play him this week.
Yeah. Even if he gets like 18, like around 8, close to 20. Anything under like 17, I'm not feeling good about it. But if he gets like 17 to 20 plus, I would be okay with starting him against the Seahawks.
Is there any other quarterbacks that you like or want?
No, I think that's it. It's kind of a wasteland.
Yeah, I agree. Pilfered. If you were streaming quarterbacks, this was not a... I'm starting to... I love the idea 3 years ago of streaming quarterbacks, and it was a popular like reality for the last couple of years. And I've started to notice this year it's getting more difficult.
It's been a tough year.
It's been a tough year, and it's getting more difficult to stream.
12-team leagues have become more the norm than 10-team, where I think like 4 or 5 years ago 10-team was, and it's much easier to stream in 10-team leagues than it is 12.
Right. But a lot of people would suggest streaming. We've talked about that in the past because quarterbacks really are the most streamable like position in fantasy football. But it's starting to become more like you don't want to draft a quarterback high in drafts. I'm still not on board with that because like you can find guys like Jalen Hurts in the later rounds or a couple of years ago in Mahomes' first starting year, like he went off that.
But you should draft the quarterback, or at least start thinking about it after like round 9.
Yeah,
round
even
8
like
9.
round 7 or 8 if you want to start thinking about it. Then.
Yeah, true.
Because who's the QB1 right now?
Josh Allen.
Yeah, and he was like top 6.
But Rodgers is high. Rodgers actually was drafted decently high, but Brady, Hurts, like those are all guys in like the 8th, 9th, 10th round.
Right, exactly. So I don't know if streaming quarterbacks is going the way of the dodo, so to speak, and just moving on.
I have not heard that phrase in a long time, but sure.
He's like, okay, you old man.
Forever.
All right, so let's move to the running back position to quickly talk about this. I think the number one guy that we need to highlight right now, and I don't know what his rostered percentage is. I'm going to pull it up right here in my PPR league. It is 41% roster percentage in sleeper leagues, half PPR sleeper leagues, I should say. And it's Ronald Jones. We found out, I don't know if Rick agrees with this, Ronald Jones being the number one ad.
No, I do agree.
Okay. But we found out the Bucs had a lot of injuries last night. Chris Godwin tore his ACL, so he's gonna be TKO. He's gonna be done for the season.
It's a tough blow.
Tough blow for that team. They also lost Fournette for a couple of weeks. So looking at the situation for the Buccaneers, they're gonna shift to Ronald Jones. And there was a tweet. I think I either liked it or retweeted it. I'm gonna pull it up because I thought it was really interesting. Of course I didn't retweet it. Let's see if I liked it. Hold on. It listed all of the games that what's his name? Ronald Jones played in without Fournette over the last 2 years with Tom Brady. And and he has gotten 12 or more fantasy points in every single game that he has played in without Leonard Fournette. And they usually give him 20 plus touches. So my guess and the suggestion this week and after the game, after they found out a little bit more about what Leonard Fournette's injury looked like, they were talking about him as the workhorse, as the feature guy, this being his opportunity to not reclaim his spot, but to do what Lenny did last year when Ronald Jones went down. So I think this is an opportunity for Ronald Jones, and I think it becomes the waiver wire ad of the week for me. And whatever waiver budget you have left, just dump it.
Yep.
Just dump it like it's hot. Put
you
your
have anything
in.
left.
Get yourself some Ronald Jones. I think it would be well worth it. He did have 8 yards of carry this week, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, well, there's no question about Ronald Jones's talent, I think, on the ground. That he's pretty good on the ground. It's just ball security and I don't know, Bruce Arians also doesn't like him that much, it seems like. Yeah. I think small things, maybe pass protection, and his receiving ability is good, but it's not as good as Fournette's.
Right.
So it's a couple things there. But on the ground, he's definitely good when he gets going. And if he gets the opportunity, like I think we all expect him to, he's going to produce fantasy-wise. Mm-hmm. I was just looking at some of those numbers. He's going to get the touches. Bruce Arians, as you noted, was pretty much saying he's going to have that opportunity to sort of retake that role. I think with Fournette out, there was times last year where he was getting like 25, 20 touches a game. This year, he has not had more than 10 touches a game, which is insane. 10 carries is the most he's had. Mm-hmm. So he's going to have the real opportunity, and I think he's going to at least all he has to do is play decent. If he's getting 20, 25 touches, he just has to play decent to put up good numbers. He's going to be a really good flex. If you have any money, make sure you put it on him. I know Carolina is not the best matchup, but I think Fournette's probably going to be out like 2 weeks maybe, which would just cover the rest of the fantasy season. Mm-hmm. So he has Carolina this week, which isn't the best, but that week 17 matchup, if Fournette is still out, is against the Jets. So he could easily get like 20 fantasy points that week.
Yeah. I think it's a really, really good ad, and he might actually do relatively well against who's he playing? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Panthers,
thank you. He might do relatively well against the Panthers. That's a divisional matchup, right?
Yep.
And Brady just came off the worst game in the last 5 years. So I would think that they're gonna go off in this game. But hopefully it's supportive of Ronald Jones and what happens, and I don't know, I might start him this week just for fun. But
yeah,
he is definitely the number one guy. Some other guys, I think if you haven't added Penny, he's a clear ad. He hasn't played yet because we're recording this on Monday, and even if we were recording it on Tuesday, we still wouldn't know because the game. So
Tuesday night,
this show is going to go out before Tuesday night happens. So just watch what happens on Tuesday night. See what happens with Penny. See if he has a good game against the Rams.
Yeah.
He becomes a start rest of season, I think. And that when I say rest of season, I mean the last two games.
Right.
So, outside of that, I don't know of any other running backs that I would jump to add at this point. Craig Reynolds,
I really don't think there is any after Penny. I would say Penny and Jones. Obviously, Jones is number one. Penny, though, is a close second. I know we both had him as a sit this week against the Rams, and we'll see how he plays. But I think he'll at least do okay against the Rams, and then he has the Bears and Lions the next 2 weeks. So if he's the workhorse back and gets close to 20 touches too, he could be very good as well those last 2 weeks.
Yep. Any other running backs you want to talk about?
Honestly, no. The running backs look pretty bad.
All right, let's move to the wide receiver position. I'm just going to say this guy quickly. Devontae Parker should be rostered. He is 70% owned right now, so I'm not sure why the Fantasy Pros has him on their list, considering it says note, players chosen based upon having early week consensus ownership below 50%.
Yeah.
So, okay. But yeah, if Devontae Parker's not on your team, add him. Are there other guys on this list that you want to talk about, Rick?
Yeah, I think Sterling Shepard is out for the year. So if Tony does play at all, he could be
Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney. If he does play at all, he could end up being pretty good as the slot guy. The only problem with that is now Daniel Jones is out for the season. Mm-hmm. They're shutting him down. So he's going to be stuck with either Mike Glennon or Jake Fromm. And I don't know. I don't know exactly how many points he's going to be able to do with that. I think he'll get a lot of dump offs. So maybe in PPR, he'll be worth it. But if it's not a PPR league, he's not going to be worth it.
I would say Amon-Ra.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
He has had, I think, 3 straight weeks of 10 or more targets.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been efficient because it's the Lions. But he's definitely starting to show best 4th-round rookie pick I ever had.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, so I would add Amon-Ra.
He's playing at Atlanta this week too, so
yeah, that's a good play if you need a flex. I would only add KJ Osborne, depending on Adam Thielen. I believe he's playing Monday.
I don't know if Thielen's playing Monday, but if he doesn't, he'll be back at least next week. So.
Yeah. So, and then I never the Green Bay. I've exited the second wide receiver in Green Bay argument conversation a long time ago. I got burned by that once, and I'm not doing it again. Every week it's a different freaking. It's Alan Lazard. It's Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Yeah, it's a different guy, and it's like I'm done predicting.
Scantlin's had 2 good games in the last 4.
Yeah,
but he has 2, 4, 20, 7, 3, 18. It's like okay.
I do want to say AJ Green too for Arizona.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring him up too.
Yeah, AJ Green for Arizona. DeAndre Hopkins is done for. They shut him down for the rest of the regular season.
Kirk seems to be the guy though.
Oh my God, yes. I have him in a dynasty league, and I left him on my bench for 22 points. Hopefully, I don't lose that league because I would love to ride Christian Kirk to the title.
But if it's I think Kirk and AJ Green though are going to get 8 to 10 targets a game rest of the season. So
I don't know what he did this past Sunday.
AJ Green,
yeah, but
he only had 8 points, but he had 8 targets. He was in it. He had 8 targets, 4 catches, 64 yards.
His ceiling is going to be lower, I think. Yeah. But he should be a really good ad. I like that a lot.
No, he would be he is a very good ad if he's available in your league.
Outside of that, I'm not.
Great. Yeah. I mean, if Emmanuel Sanders stays out, Gabriel Davis might end up being a good ad.
Gabe Davis. You like the Gabe Davis? He's actually kind of emerged.
He has, yeah. I don't know why, they didn't. They must really like Emmanuel Sanders and think he's still got a lot of game left in him. But the last couple of weeks, Sanders, even before he got injured, was kind of going in the wrong direction. And Gabe Davis has been going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And the last 2 weeks especially, he had 8 targets and 7 targets, 23 fantasy points this week and a half PPR for Gabe Davis.
Yep.
But he is playing New England this week, so it's like,
I'm not excited about that.
Right.
I'm not excited about that. Oh my God. Desean Jackson blows. He's not good anymore. He's had 3 drops in this game.
Did he drop that?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he did. Wow, that was a bad drop too.
Anyway, so let's move to the tight end position quickly. Not really a lot doing at the tight end position, but I know me included, some of you Hawkinson managers got blindsided, slapped in the face with this reality that you're not going to have Hawk for the postseason. It honestly didn't even faze me. Now it's kind of bothering me.
Because he's been so up and down.
But he's been so up and down that I'm like, whatever. I'll join the tight end pool. Let's go.
Fun at that.
I don't like Njoku. I don't like Hooper. I really don't like any passing targets in Cleveland right now. Literally nobody. Brevin Jordan was an interesting guy that I looked at. And I'm not really excited about him, but the 2 guys that I was intrigued by were Gerald Everett, or 3 guys, I should say. Gerald Everett, Evan Engram. Evan Engram now off that list for me in my mind because of the Mike Glennon / Jake Fromm situation.
Yeah.
But it's Gerald Everett and Tyler Conklin. Those 2 guys are the guys that
you don't want Evan Engram with his 5 points a week.
I think I'm good. I think I'll pass. Come on, Chubb. Let's go, buddy. I need fantasy points.
Don't. Let's go. Raiders defense and Browns defense. Dude.
But anyway, yeah, no. So I looking at all the time. Who would you choose between Everett and Conklin, though?
Oh.
Who'd you start this week? Because they still haven't played yet. So
this week,
yeah,
I would choose Conklin.
Okay.
Going forward, I'd probably go Everett.
I picked up both, so hedged the bets.
I think this without Thielen though, I'd go Conklin. And I know he didn't have a great week without Thielen last week, but it's a risk I'm willing to take.
Okay. Any other tight ends you want to speak about?
I think that's it.
Okay. There we go. Waiver wire, week 16. Literally, I can't if we do week 18 content, which I don't know that we're gonna do.
Yeah,
it's interesting, but this next week might be our last waiver wire show. So we'll see you Wednesday, guys.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.